All right, good evening. I'm Lieutenant Ray Spencer. I'm the homicide lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm out here this evening to brief you on a homicide investigation that we are conducting in the western part of the valley near the intersection of Buffalo and Westcliff. The details that I have right now are very preliminary, but at around 8:30 p.m., Metro Police received report that a Hispanic female in her early 30s had been stabbed directly behind me in the parking lot. Responding patrol officers arrived and found the female, who was declared deceased by medical personnel, on scene. What we have learned is that the female recently broke up with her boyfriend 3 days ago. As a result of that breakup, the male half had separated and moved out of the apartment. At some point, there was a conversation between the suspect and the victim about returning some personal property. The victim, along with the victim's mother, drove to the convenience store behind me and met up with the suspect. The suspect is a Hispanic male in his early 40s. The victim got out of the car and met up with her ex-boyfriend, the suspect, and at that point was stabbed multiple times. The suspect then fled the scene, and we are looking for a Hispanic male in his early 40s. I urge any witnesses, anybody who saw what occurred, to please reach out to Metro Police. You can do so anonymously through Crime Stoppers, or you can also reach out at homicide@lvmpd.com. So again, with that, I will take a couple questions, but it's still very early on in the investigation.
Do we know if the couple had a history of domestic violence or anything like that?
We're still looking into it. It's still very early on. I do know there is a prior domestic involving the suspect, but as far as, I don't know if specifically that's the victim and the suspect. But the suspect does have a history of domestic violence.
Was the suspect in a vehicle, and do we know what that vehicle is?
Right now, the suspect, we believe, is on foot. We have officers in the area, along with our canine officers, still searching the area. He was last seen running on foot east from this location, so that we're still searching and trying to locate him.
Can you speak a little bit about dating situations that turn into kind of horrible domestic violence and then, of course, murder like this?
There's many resources out there for victims of domestic violence. Often the most dangerous time for anyone going through a domestic violence situation is during the breakup. And this is what we're seeing here today. The victim had broken up with the male half, and again, that's what resulted in her tragically being killed out here today. There's many resources such as Safe Nest. There's also the Family Justice Center, and I urge victims or anybody going through domestic violence to use the resources of the Family Justice Center.
It sounds like this woman, did things right. She brought someone with her, and she also met in a public place. What do you suggest someone who needs to meet up with an ex that, might be abusive do in this situation?
You summed it up. She did everything that you should do. Meet in a public place. She brought her mother along. It's an extremely tragic situation, and I don't want to get into the speculation as far as anything she could have done differently. I mean, she made very smart choices in meeting in a public place and bringing somebody with her. But again, she was tragically murdered by her ex-boyfriend, and it's a tragic outcome to a horrible situation.
Was the mother injured at all, or around when it happened?
The mother witnessed the incident and provided first aid to her daughter, but she was not injured in the incident.
Do we know what the suspect's wearing?
I can't hear you.
Do we know what the suspect is wearing?
I don't have a description as far as clothing on what he is wearing. Sorry.
And then was she pronounced deceased on scene, or was she transported, became deceased then?
She has not been transported. She was deceased at the scene.
You know how many times exactly she was stabbed?
I don't. It was more than once. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.